Scott just made the point.
Jefferson used to be a lot more secure, not just. Federal Elections Commission Vice Chair Ann M. Revelle says it's time to end the Internet's free ride when it comes to campaign ads and regulate them on the Internet just like they already are on your local TV station. Now, is this an idea whose time has come, or is it yet another ploy to stifle free speech? I'm Steve Green. This is Trifecta, and with me now the rest of your Trifecta crew, Scott Ott and Bill Whittle. Gents, back in 2006, the FEC exempted free Internet sites like Mind at Vodka Pundit or Scrapple Face or Eject, or even Daily Kos, exempted them from the rules and that the TV and radio stations or even paid sites already play by. So late on Friday, Ann Revelle released a memo outlining her plans for taking these existing rules and implementing them more widely. Here's what she wrote. She said the commission failed to take into account clear indicators that the Internet would become a major source of political advertising dominated by the same political organizations that dominate traditional media. Since its inception, this effort to protect individual bloggers and online commenters has been stretched to cover slickly produced ads aired solely on the Internet but paid for by the same organizations and the same large contributors as the actual ads aired on TV. Now, Scott, as a rule of law conservative, don't you agree that bloggers should have to play by the same rules as everybody else, especially when it comes to expensive ads produced by organizations founded by, well, say, the Koch brothers?
Well, to tell you the truth, I was all for the heavy regulation of political advertising as long as I was exempted. I mean, it just seemed right to impose that kind of regulation on other people. But now that they're trying to put it on me, I've come to a different view suddenly. You know, here's my view on this is actually they shouldn't regulate any of it. It should be free speech. And if somebody wants to get on TV and lie their tail off, they should get on TV and lie their tail off and face the consequences for that. The great thing about the Internet age is that we have fact-checking out the wazoo now being done by people who used to be considered rank amateurs, but who actually have more expertise than most people in the mainstream media do, or at least collectively we do. So I'd say let politicians say what they will and let the market sort it out instead of the government trying to come up with, you know, the latest regulation that will, it'll be like campaign finance reform. The moment they put this regulation in place, somebody will figure out a way to go around it and do something else. It's absurd.
Well, of course they will. Free speech, radical concept, dangerous stuff. All right, now, this isn't the first time the FEC has looked into removing these exemptions. Going back now to Revelle's memo, she says, unfortunately, in its earlier efforts at dealing with the Internet's impact on campaign finance, the Commission received only limited feedback from those most knowledgeable with the relevant issues, that is, Internet developers and technology entrepreneurs. When devising policies with far-reaching impact, it is incumbent on the Commission to consult the relevant community of professionals and the public to inform our decisions. Okay, Bill, obviously the issue of who should be allowed to spend how much on high-tech internet sites like ours, well, it's a tricky one. Shouldn't these things be decided by a relevant community of professionals working hand-in-hand with a bipartisan Washington Commission?
What's tricky about it? There's nothing tricky about it. Scott's absolutely right. Just leave it alone. Now, she said that this exemption might be revoked in the case of slickly produced Internet videos. So fortunately, Trifecta doesn't have anything to worry about. But with that said, we are really looking at, I think, what we are coming to accept almost as the new normal. And that is this idea of like a free speech zone on campus. You know, you hear these students who've got like pamphlets or something. It's like, you can't discuss that here. Why not? You have to go over there to the free speech zone. We saw this the first time these free speech zones appeared, and that was the whole country is a free speech zone. So they have no business regulating anybody's speech for any reason whatsoever, period, full stop, end of sentence. Now, the thing that is so interesting about the Internet is this. We are seeing the entire federal government as it exists today is a result of a second wave industrial era top-down centralized command structure. The first wave government of this country was much smaller and much more willing to mind its own business. And the reason that this thing gets under their skin so much is because places like PJTV and Drudge Report and all the rest are not under their control, which means that mean people can say bad things about Democrats, and that must not be allowed. And for those of you who think that this might just be a tempest in a tea party, as I said in a commentary I'm doing on this very subject, the fact remains that the FEC will have the authority to regulate and therefore punish speech that it alone decides is not in the best interest of the Democratic Party. And if you don't think that can happen, just look at what's happened with another large government agency, namely the Internal Revenue Service, which, like the FEC now, is being weaponized against the American people in direct contempt of the First Amendment rights that we have, in the same way that the NSA is weaponized against the people in violation of our Fourth Amendment rights. This has to stop somewhere, Steve, and I'll tell you where it's going to stop. It's going to stop on the internet. Because the one thing that young people have, I've never seen young people motivated about anything really politically, really genuinely actively motivated, except for regulating the internet. They go absolutely off their minds about that, and good for them. This is the new frontier of freedom, and it needs to be kept secure. And the internet was designed to be circumvented. The internet was built so that nuclear weapons could take out entire servers and messages will still get through. Does this woman actually think that she can regulate the internet? Is she really that dense?
We'll just move it offshore.
Yes, we will.
You say good for them. You say good for them, for the young people. That's good for all of us. Look, folks, I'll try and make this plain. What Revelle is trying to do is give the federal government the power to decide what you or I or anyone else chooses to put on their free or amateur website just because the content is political. Now, imagine the uproar if the FEC tried to put limits on free lolcats or on porn. But you know what? We're not talking about grumpy cats or naked women. We're talking about freedom of speech. That's the freedom to say or post what you choose because, damn it, you're an American. And whether you're a Democrat or a Republican or a Libertarian or a dues-paying member of the cocktail party, free speech is your right. It's your most important right. So you'd better exercise it now before you lose it forever. Now, look, Revelle says she wants to hear from the public, and I want all of you, of every persuasion, to make sure she hears you loud, she hears you clear. For Bill Whittle and Scott Ott, I'm Steve Green.